Myra had always dreamed of something simple. She wanted a normal job, a steady routine, and maybe a small apartment of her own. Life on Earth had been difficult, but she had learned to make the best of every day. When she saw the advertisement for a maid position on a luxury spaceship called Aurora, she thought it sounded perfect. Clean, organize, serve, repeat. Nothing too complicated. Nothing too dangerous. The day she arrived at the spaceport, Myra felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. The ship towered above her, sleek and silver, with lights that glowed softly in the evening air. She carried a small suitcase, her heart beating quickly. She had no idea that her life was about to change in ways she could never imagine. As she stepped aboard the Aurora, she was greeted by a silence so complete it almost made her shiver. The corridors were wide, polished to a shine that reflected her own nervous face. The walls were made of smooth metal, and soft lights floated without any visible support. Myra had cleaned many houses before, but she had never seen anything like this. Suddenly, a voice spoke, soft yet commanding. "Welcome, Myra." She turned quickly. Standing before her was not a human, but an alien. Queen Zero was tall and elegant, her skin shimmered like liquid silver, and her eyes glowed softly with a color Myra could not name. She moved with grace, every motion precise and calm. Myra felt her throat dry as she bowed slightly. Thank you, Queen Zero," Myra said. Zero smiled, not in a cold way, but in a way that made Myra feel at ease. "Your job may seem simple," Zero said, "but it is more important than you think. You will learn more than cleaning and serving. You will see things few humans ever have." Myra blinked. She had expected a strict supervisor, not a queen. But there was something about Zero's presence that made Myra believe her words. She nodded, unsure what to say. Zero led her to her first workspace, the private chambers. The room was vast, with furniture that floated slightly above the floor. A soft glow came from panels on the walls, illuminating strange symbols Myra had never seen before. She began her first task, dusting the surfaces carefully and arranging objects with care. Every item seemed precious, almost alive. As she worked, Myra noticed something unusual. One of the walls had a pattern that looked like a map, but it shimmered and changed when she looked closely. She paused, running her fingers over the smooth surface. Before she could think too much about it, Zero appeared behind her. "You see much already," Zero said gently. "That map shows the path of our mission. Not everyone can understand it. You have curiosity, Myra. That is rare for humans." Myra felt a mix of pride and fear. She had only just arrived, and already she felt part of something bigger than herself. The next day, Myra began to explore more of the ship while performing her duties. She cleaned corridors that twisted in impossible ways and polished rooms that seemed to float above the ground. Every corner held something new, glowing devices, jars with liquids that shimmered, machines that hummed softly with unknown energy. Myra realized that the ship itself was alive in a way. During lunch, Myra sat in the dining hall. Unlike the human cafeterias she had known, this one was elegant but simple. Floating trays brought food to each seat, and Myra marveled at how everything seemed effortless. She was careful not to stare, but her mind raced with questions. Why had she been chosen? What made a human maid valuable on a ship like this? Her questions were answered that evening. While she was arranging Queen Zero's chamber, Myra accidentally knocked over a small device. It rolled across the floor and clicked open, revealing a holographic message. Myra gasped. A map of distant planets appeared, glowing in blue and gold. Symbols and lines connected the planets in ways Myra could not understand. Before she could touch it, Zero appeared. Her expression was calm, but her eyes held a seriousness Myra had not seen before. "That is not for your eyes yet," Zero said. But now that you have seen it, you must know the truth. Our mission is secret. Very few beings can help. Humans are usually not among them. But you, Zero paused, measuring her words. You may be different. Myra's heart pounded. She had applied for a maid job. She had expected dusting and cooking, not a secret mission across the galaxy. I don't know if I can help, she stammered. Zero smiled softly. You can. Humans have qualities we aliens do not fully understand. Your creativity, your courage, your ability to see possibilities we cannot, these are valuable. You will be trained. You will be protected. But you must choose. Do you accept? Myra hesitated for a long moment. She thought of Earth, of her simple life, of the dreams she had never dared to speak aloud. Then she looked at Zira, at the shimmering eyes that seemed to see her very soul, and she made her decision. Yes, Myra said firmly. I will help. Zira nodded. Good. Then your simple job is over. Your real journey begins now. That night, Myra lay in her small cabin, staring at the ceiling. She could hear the gentle hum of the ship, almost like a heartbeat. She realized that life had become larger than she had ever imagined. A simple human maid had been chosen to serve not just a queen, but a mission that could affect countless lives across the galaxy. Sleep came slowly, filled with dreams of stars, planets, and strange glowing symbols. Myra knew one thing for certain: her life had changed forever. She was no longer just a maid. She was part of something extraordinary. And so, the first day aboard the Aurora ended. A simple job had become a gateway to adventure, and Myra could feel the excitement and fear mixing in her chest. Tomorrow, she would begin her training. Tomorrow, she would step into a world that no human had walked before. But tonight, she let herself dream, imagining the vast galaxy waiting beyond the ship's hull and wondering how a simple maid could become something much greater than she had ever imagined. The next morning, Myra woke early. The hum of the Aurora was steady, a gentle reminder that the ship was alive and moving through space. She dressed in a simple uniform Queen Zira had provided. It was light, flexible, and comfortable, unlike any maid outfit she had ever worn. Myra felt a little nervous, but also curious. What did Zira mean when she said her job was more than cleaning? Her first task that morning was to organize a storage room filled with strange containers. Some held glowing liquids, others strange crystals, and a few had tiny devices that seemed to move slightly on their own. Myra handled them carefully, arranging them by shape and size, but she could not stop staring. Everything aboard the ship seemed to have a purpose she could not yet understand. While she worked, a soft chime sounded. Myra turned, surprised to see a small door in the corner of the room sliding open. From it emerged a slender robot, silver and white, with glowing blue eyes. Myra, it said in a gentle voice, the Queen requests your presence. Myra felt her stomach tighten. She followed the robot through twisting corridors she had never explored. The walls shimmered with faint light, and soft hums filled the air. She noticed symbols etched along the panels, glowing faintly. Myra touched one lightly, but it pulsed gently under her fingers and then dimmed. It was beautiful, but also strange, almost alive. At the end of the corridor, Myra entered a room she had not seen before. It was small, circular, and softly lit. In the center, hovering slightly above the floor, was a platform with a glowing holographic map. Queen Zira stood beside it, looking calm but focused. Myra, Zira said, her voice smooth like silk, you have seen part of our mission. Now it is time for you to understand more. Myra took a deep breath. She nodded. I am ready, she said, though her heart raced. Zira extended her hand, and the holographic map brightened. Planets, stars, and strange lines connected distant systems. This ship travels across the galaxy to prevent conflicts and protect life. Many beings think only of power or control. But we must stop them before they harm others. Myra studied the map, fascinated. She noticed symbols she had seen before in the chambers she cleaned. They pulsed faintly, like they were alive. I don't understand it all, she admitted. But I want to help. Zira smiled. You will learn. Humans have something special. You see things in ways we aliens cannot. You notice details, make connections, and act quickly. These qualities make you valuable to this mission. That is why you were chosen. Myra felt a mix of pride and fear. She was just a human, after all. How could she be useful to powerful aliens on a secret mission across the galaxy? Before she could speak, a soft noise came from the platform. A small compartment opened, revealing a sleek device no larger than her hand. It was smooth, black, and glowing slightly. Zira handed it to Myra. This will help you communicate with me and the team, Zira explained. It also contains information about our mission. But it is more than a device. It will grow with you, and you will grow with it. Myra held it carefully. It felt warm, almost like it recognized her touch. I will do my best, she said. Zira nodded. Good. Your first task will be training. You will need skills beyond cleaning and organizing. You must learn to move quickly, observe carefully, and understand the technology around you. For the next few hours, Myra was guided through training exercises unlike anything she had imagined. Zira demonstrated how to move objects with small energy pulses, navigate holographic maps, and read alien symbols. Myra was amazed at how much she could understand, even when the technology seemed impossible. Her human mind worked differently from the aliens, and sometimes she found solutions Zira had not considered. At one point, Myra had to solve a puzzle with floating shapes that fit together in specific ways. She studied the shapes, turned them in her mind, and suddenly placed them in the correct sequence. The platform glowed brightly, signaling success. Zira's eyes sparkled with approval. You see, Myra, Zira said, humans think creatively. You approach problems differently. That makes you stronger than you realize. Myra felt her confidence grow. She had started the day feeling nervous and unprepared, but now she sensed that she could truly contribute to the mission. Later, while resting, Myra explored a quiet corridor lined with windows. Beyond the glass, stars streaked past as the ship moved through space. Myra felt a thrill she had never experienced on Earth. The galaxy was enormous, full of planets and life forms she could only imagine. And somehow, she was part of it. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft chime from her device. A message appeared, simple words glowing clearly, observe carefully. Trust your instincts. Myra smiled. Even the smallest guidance seemed to make her feel connected to the mission. She realized that being human, with her instincts and curiosity, was exactly what she needed to succeed. That evening, Zira brought Myra to the ship's observation deck. It was a large, circular room with transparent walls. Stars shone like diamonds, and distant planets glimmered in the distance. Myra felt small and large at the same time, small because of the vast galaxy, large because she now belonged to something greater than herself. Tomorrow, Zira said, you will begin a more advanced phase of training. You will learn to navigate unknown worlds and assist in missions beyond this ship. Every step will test your abilities and your courage. Myra nodded. She did not feel afraid now. She felt ready. The simple maid job she had applied for had become the first step toward adventure, learning, and discovery. She realized that life aboard the Aurora would challenge her in ways she had never imagined. That night, Myra lay in her cabin once again. The hum of the ship was comforting. She held the device Zira had given her and studied it carefully. For the first time, she understood that humans could be more than observers in the galaxy. They could be active participants, thinkers, and problem solvers. Myra closed her eyes and imagined the missions ahead. She imagined exploring strange worlds, meeting beings unlike anything on Earth, and using her unique skills to make a difference. The galaxy was full of mysteries, and she was now part of the journey to solve them. As sleep came, Myra smiled. She had started the day expecting a simple job. By evening, she had stepped into a world of secrets, training, and missions that would take her far beyond anything she had known. Myra realized that her life had changed forever, and she was eager to see what awaited her in the days to come. The Aurora glided silently through space, carrying Myra and Queen Zira toward adventures that would test courage, intelligence, and the human spirit. Myra had accepted a hidden invitation, and she would rise to meet it. The next morning, Myra woke early, her heart racing with anticipation. Today marked the beginning of her real training. She dressed quickly in the uniform Queen Zira had provided, a soft, flexible suit that allowed movement without restriction. She knew that this was no longer a simple maid job. Every step she took aboard the Aurora now held purpose, and her curiosity burned brighter than ever. Zira met her at the central hall. The alien queen's presence was both comforting and commanding. "Myra," she said, "today you will begin exercises that will prepare you for the missions ahead. You will learn skills that humans have never needed before. You will discover your strengths." Myra nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. She followed Zira to a large training room. The room was vast, circular, and softly lit with floating lights. The walls were covered with holographic displays, showing planets, symbols, and moving lines of energy. In the center was a platform that seemed to respond to movement, glowing faintly as Myra stepped onto it. "Your first exercise," Zira explained, "is observation and speed. You will need to notice details and act quickly. Some dangers cannot be predicted by technology alone. Humans have instincts we cannot replicate." Myra felt a thrill. She had never thought of herself as special, yet Zira's words made her feel a responsibility she had never imagined. The exercise began. Shapes and lights appeared around the platform in rapid sequences. Myra had to touch or move them in precise order. At first, she struggled to keep up. Her hands trembled slightly, and her mind raced to understand the pattern. Then she paused, taking a deep breath. She remembered the advice from her device: "Trust your instincts." Myra let her intuition guide her. Instead of following the shapes in order, she noticed subtle differences in the colors and sizes that others might have missed. Slowly, she adjusted her movements. One by one, the shapes glowed and disappeared, signaling success. Zira's eyes sparkled. "Very good, Myra. You see, what we miss: humans have creativity, and your mind works in ways that help solve problems quickly. Remember this skill, it will save lives." Next, Myra was introduced to alien technology. Zira showed her devices that controlled energy, opened doors to hidden chambers, and even displayed possible futures based on current events. Myra practiced using them, learning to read symbols and respond to changes in the displays. She discovered that her human brain could adapt to the technology in ways that were unexpected. While aliens relied on strict logic, Myra's thinking was flexible, allowing her to find solutions that even Zira had not considered. Hours passed, and Myra grew more confident. She learned to move silently across the room, to recognize patterns in holographic sequences, and to respond to sudden changes with speed. Her hands and eyes became precise tools, guided by instinct and careful observation. She was no longer a simple maid. She was becoming a capable member of the Aurora's mission team. During a break, Myra wandered through a corridor lined with observation windows. Outside, stars streaked past as the ship traveled at incredible speed. Myra's heart swelled with awe. The galaxy was larger than she had ever imagined, filled with planets, moons, and unknown civilizations. She realized that every skill she learned would one day protect lives she could not yet see. As the day continued, Zira introduced Myra to physical training. She showed Myra how to harness energy from her own body, enhancing speed and strength for brief moments. Myra practiced running across suspended platforms, jumping between moving surfaces, and avoiding obstacles that appeared without warning. She stumbled at first, but each failure taught her something new. By evening, she moved with agility and precision, her human instincts guiding her actions. Zira observed silently, her expression unreadable. Finally, she spoke. Humans are often underestimated. Others believe you are fragile, limited, or predictable. But you adapt. You notice things, improvise, and take risks we cannot always understand. This is why you are valuable. Myra felt a warm pride. She had always doubted herself, but now she realized that being human could be a strength, especially when combined with the technology and knowledge of the Aurora. After physical training, Myra practiced strategy. Zira presented scenarios in which planets were threatened, alien factions were at war, and energy sources were at risk. Myra had to plan responses, using the skills she had learned. At first, she made mistakes, misjudging distances or resources. Zira corrected her, guiding her thought process. Soon, Myra began to see connections and possibilities that even advanced aliens might overlook. Her human perspective was proving invaluable. By the end of the day, Myra was exhausted but exhilarated. She had learned more in one day than she had imagined possible. She realized that this training was not only about skill, it was about understanding her own potential. Humans could do remarkable things when given the right guidance and opportunity. That evening, Myra returned to her cabin. She sat by the window, looking at distant stars. Her device from Zira glowed softly, a reminder of the journey ahead. Myra reflected on everything she had learned. Observation, instinct, adaptability, speed, strategy, these were tools that could change the course of events across the galaxy. Myra felt a sense of purpose she had never known on Earth. She realized that her life was no longer simple. She was part of something greater than herself, a mission that could save civilizations. The galaxy was full of mysteries, and she had the chance to uncover them. Before sleep, Myra practiced what Zira had taught her. She reviewed holographic symbols, ran through sequences of movements, and imagined herself solving complex problems. Each success, no matter how small, built her confidence. She understood now that humans could be extraordinary, not because of strength or technology alone, but because of the mind, the heart, and the courage to act when needed. As she drifted to sleep, Myra felt a deep sense of excitement. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more training, and perhaps her first real mission beyond the Aurora. She knew she would face dangers and uncertainties, but she also knew that she was no longer just a maid. She was a human being with unique abilities, capable of facing the galaxy's mysteries with courage and intelligence. The Aurora glided silently through the stars, carrying Myra toward adventures that would test her abilities and reveal the power of humanity. Myra smiled in the darkness, ready to meet whatever came next. The morning air aboard the Aurora was filled with quiet anticipation. Myra awoke feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Today was the day of her first real mission. For weeks, she had trained under Queen Zira's careful guidance. She had learned observation, strategy, movement, and the ways in which humans could think differently from aliens. Now, all of her skills would be tested. Zira met her at the central hall. Her eyes, glowing faintly in the morning light, were calm but serious. "Myra," she said, "today you will see how your training applies in the real world. A neighboring planet has sent a distress signal. Its people are threatened by an aggressive alien faction. We will travel there and assess the situation. Your instincts, your courage, and your quick thinking will be needed." Myra felt her heart race. She had expected a simple cleaning job, but now she was preparing for something far more important. She nodded. I understand, Queen Zira. I am ready. The Aurora's launch bay was vast and bright. A sleek shuttle waited, its surface gleaming under soft lights. Myra climbed inside, careful to remember every detail Zira had shown her. The shuttle's controls were advanced, yet intuitive. Myra placed her hands on the panels, feeling a thrill of excitement as the engines hummed to life. The journey through space was faster than Myra had imagined. Stars streaked past the shuttle's windows like silver rivers, and distant planets glimmered like jewels. Myra's device, the one Zira had given her, glowed softly. A small message appeared: observe carefully. Adapt quickly. Trust yourself. Myra repeated the words silently. She reminded herself of her training. Humans were often underestimated, but their creativity and instinct could turn the tide in ways others could not predict. When the shuttle approached the distressed planet, Myra could see its surface from above. Vast forests covered rolling hills, and sparkling rivers wound through green valleys. But there was a darker sight as well. A group of strange ships hovered above the planet, moving with deliberate purpose. Smoke rose from one area, and Myra could see the frightened inhabitants below. This is your first test, Zira said, her voice calm. We must observe, plan, and act without causing unnecessary harm. You will help me navigate and decide our next steps. Myra studied the enemy ships. They moved in patterns that seemed predictable, yet she noticed subtle changes in their formation. She pointed to a small gap between two ships. If we approach from this side, she suggested, they might not detect us immediately. It could give us time to rescue the people on the ground. Zira nodded, impressed. Excellent, Myra. Humans notice what others overlook. Your instincts are valuable. The shuttle descended carefully, following Myra's guidance. As they approached the planet's surface, Myra could hear the faint cries of the inhabitants. She felt a surge of determination. She had trained for this moment, and she would not let fear control her. The landing was smooth. Myra and Zira exited the shuttle, moving swiftly through tall grass and uneven terrain. The alien faction had not yet noticed them, giving Myra time to scout. She observed the enemy ships from behind a hill and quickly formulated a plan. Queen Zira, she whispered, if we create a distraction here, near that cluster of trees, it will draw them away from the villages. Then we can guide the people to safety. Zira smiled slightly. Very good, Myra. You think creatively, just as I hoped. Let us begin. Using a combination of stealth technology and energy devices from the shuttle, Myra and Zira created a controlled distraction. Small lights flashed and sounds echoed in the forest, pulling the enemy's attention. Myra's heart pounded as she led the way, moving swiftly but carefully. The villagers, frightened but trusting, followed Myra and Zira through hidden paths. Myra's human intuition guided her steps. She noticed tracks, subtle signs in the grass, and small gaps between rocks. These details allowed them to move efficiently, avoiding danger while keeping the villagers safe. At one point, an enemy drone appeared unexpectedly. Myra acted quickly, using a small energy device to disable it. The drone fell silently, and the villagers did not notice. Zira glanced at Myra with approval. Your quick thinking saved lives, she said softly. By the time they reached a safe location, Myra had guided dozens of people away from danger. She felt exhaustion in her muscles but a deep satisfaction in her heart. Humans could be underestimated, but today she had proven that courage, observation, and adaptability could change the outcome of a dangerous situation. The enemy ships finally retreated after realizing the villagers were no longer vulnerable. Myra and Zira returned to the shuttle, carrying the villagers to a secure area. Myra could see the relief in their eyes, and she felt a quiet pride. She had not only completed her first mission but had also discovered the unique value of being human in a galaxy full of advanced beings. Back aboard the Aurora, Myra reflected on the day's events. Her body ached from movement, and her mind was buzzing with details. But she also felt a new sense of confidence. Humans might be smaller and slower than some alien species, but their instincts, creativity, and empathy could make them essential in situations where technology alone was not enough. Zira approached Myra, her eyes calm but glowing with approval. "Today, you have shown courage and intelligence beyond what many expected. Your human perspective made the difference. You will face greater challenges, but remember this lesson: never underestimate what you can contribute." Myra nodded, a small smile forming on her face. She had entered this journey as a maid, expecting simple tasks and routines. Now she had experienced the thrill and responsibility of real missions. She had discovered that humans could stand shoulder to shoulder with advanced beings, not because of technology, but because of their unique way of thinking, acting, and caring. That night, Myra lay in her cabin, staring at the stars through the window. She thought of the villagers she had saved, the enemy she had outsmarted, and the galaxy that stretched endlessly beyond the ship. She realized that this mission was not just about power or technology, it was about courage, intelligence, and the ability to act when it mattered most. Myra closed her eyes, letting the quiet hum of the aurora soothe her. She felt ready for whatever came next. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, and perhaps greater dangers. But she knew one thing for certain: humans had a place in this galaxy. They could be brave, resourceful, and essential. And Myra was living proof. As sleep came, Myra's thoughts turned to the future. She would continue to learn, continue to grow, and continue to prove that even a simple human maid could rise to extraordinary heights. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and adventures, and Myra was no longer afraid. She was ready to face them all. The Aurora glided silently through space, carrying Myra and Queen Zira to a place few humans had ever seen, the council chambers of the galaxy's most powerful beings. Myra had spent weeks training, learning to observe, adapt, and act with speed and intelligence. But nothing could have prepared her for what she was about to witness. The council chambers were massive, a grand circular hall floating above a field of stars. The walls shimmered with energy, and light moved along the surface in patterns that seemed alive. Myra stepped cautiously, holding her head high. The alien council members were seated in a circle, each one unique. Some had long, flowing forms that glowed faintly, others had crystalline bodies that reflected the starlight. Their eyes, in various colors and shapes, watched her carefully. "Welcome, Myra," Zira said, her voice calm and dignified. "These are the members of the council. They guide the galaxy and protect its civilizations from threats. Today, you will meet them and understand the importance of your role." Myra bowed respectfully. Her heart raced, but she reminded herself of Zira's words: humans have intuition, creativity, and courage. She had already proven some of these qualities, and she knew she could do so again. One of the council members, a tall being with translucent wings, spoke first. "You are human. Your kind is small in number and fragile compared to many species. Why are you here?" Myra took a deep breath. "I may be human, but I have skills, creativity, and instincts that can help. I have learned to observe carefully, think quickly, and act with courage. Queen Zira believes that humans can be valuable, and I want to prove that I am." Another council member, a crystalline figure, nodded. "Humans think differently. You see possibilities where others see limits. You are unpredictable, and that can be useful. Many beings underestimate you, but perhaps that is their mistake." Zira smiled at Myra. "They will test you, but remember your strengths. Observation, intuition, creativity, and courage, these are human qualities that matter in our mission." The council members moved to a holographic table at the center of the chamber. A 3D map of several star systems appeared, showing planets, energy sources, and regions of conflict. Myra studied the map carefully, noticing details that even Zira had not pointed out. Small anomalies, slight movements of ships, and energy fluctuations that hinted at hidden dangers. One of the council members, with long golden appendages, spoke. A rogue faction seeks an energy source that could destroy entire planets. They move quickly, but they leave signs. Notice the details, young human. You may see what we cannot. Myra leaned closer to the map, focusing on the symbols and movements. Her human mind worked differently than the aliens. She recognized a pattern in the fleet's movement, a sequence that suggested the faction was heading to a specific planet, one not yet marked as endangered. I believe they are going to Vera Prime, Myra said, pointing to a small blue planet on the edge of the map. Their fleet moves in a way that avoids detection, but the energy signature points there. Zira's eyes glowed faintly. Impressive, Myra. You notice what others might miss. Humans often think creatively, connecting details that seem unrelated. This is why your presence matters. The council members murmured among themselves, impressed by Myra's observation. One of them, a being with shifting light patterns, spoke again. You may be small, human, but your perspective is unique. You could play a key role in stopping the rogue faction. We must consider how to utilize your skills effectively. Myra felt a mixture of pride and responsibility. She had never imagined that her observations and intuition could influence decisions at such a high level. Her heart raced, knowing that humans could truly matter in this vast galaxy. Zira guided Myra to a smaller platform nearby. You will join the mission to Vera Prime. It will be dangerous, but you have learned much. Your human perspective will be crucial in understanding the enemy's actions and protecting the planet's inhabitants. Myra nodded. She felt her confidence growing. She had trained with Zira, learned to navigate alien technology, and now she was being entrusted with a mission that could save countless lives. The weight of responsibility was heavy, but it was balanced by determination. One of the council members, a figure with silver tendrils, spoke gently. Do not underestimate yourself, human. Courage and intelligence can change the course of events. You will face challenges, but your instincts will guide you. Myra thought of the villagers she had saved on her first mission. She remembered the rush of guiding them safely, the use of her training, and the thrill of thinking quickly under pressure. Humans were underestimated, but today she realized that she had the potential to influence even the highest levels of galactic strategy. Zero led Myra to a quiet observation room overlooking the chamber. The stars outside stretched endlessly, and Myra felt both small and powerful at the same time. Tomorrow, Zira said, we depart for Vera Prime. You will apply everything you have learned. The rogue faction is dangerous, but together we can stop them. Remember your human strengths, they will guide you where technology alone cannot. Myra gazed at the stars, feeling a deep sense of purpose. Her simple life on Earth had seemed small and unimportant, but now she was part of something extraordinary. Humans had qualities that even the most advanced aliens could not replicate. Observation, intuition, creativity, and courage, these were her tools. That night, Myra lay in her cabin, thinking about the council members, the rogue faction, and the upcoming mission. She reviewed her training, practiced movements in her mind, and considered strategies for protecting the planet. Every detail mattered, and her human perspective could make the difference. She realized that her journey was no longer about being a mate or following instructions. It was about using her unique human abilities to solve problems, protect life, and face dangers that others might not understand. Humans were capable of extraordinary things, and Myra was living proof. As she drifted to sleep, Myra felt excitement and determination. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, but she was ready. She had learned that humans could make a difference where others might fail. She would face the challenges of Vero Prime with courage, creativity, and intelligence. The Aurora continued its journey through the stars, carrying Myra and Zira toward new adventures. Myra understood now that humans were not weak or insignificant. They could adapt, think, and act in ways that mattered. Her first encounter with the Council had shown her that her place in the galaxy was important, and that her choices could shape the future of entire worlds. The Aurora traveled through the galaxy at incredible speed. Myra sat quietly in the observation room, her hands resting on the smooth rail. Outside, stars streaked past like lines of light, and distant planets glimmered faintly. Tomorrow, she would face her first mission on Vero Prime, the planet where the rogue faction planned to harness a dangerous energy source. Myra felt a mixture of excitement and nerves. She had trained with Queen Zira, learned to observe, adapt, and act quickly. Now it was time to use those skills in the field. Zira entered the room silently. Her presence was calm but commanding. "Myra," she said, "the mission is clear. The rogue faction has set up a base on Vero Prime. They aim to control an energy source capable of immense destruction. We must stop them before they succeed. Your human perspective will be vital. Technology alone may not be enough." Myra nodded, her heart pounding. She had learned that humans were often underestimated, but now she understood how much her instincts and creativity could matter. "I am ready, Queen Zira," she said firmly. The next morning, the shuttle departed the Aurora. It was small, sleek, and fast, designed for stealth. Myra gripped the controls lightly, following Zira's guidance. The planet below was vast, covered with dense forests, deep canyons, and glowing energy fields that pulsed faintly in the distance. The rogue faction's base was hidden among the cliffs, shielded by technology that made it almost invisible from above. Myra studied the terrain carefully. She noticed patterns in the shadows, slight disturbances in the energy fields, and subtle movements among the trees. Her human instincts told her where the safest paths were, where the hidden dangers lay, and how to approach without being detected. Zira glanced at her, impressed. "Your observations are correct, Myra. Humans notice what even advanced sensors cannot. Trust yourself." The shuttle landed quietly in a clearing near the base. Myra and Zira exited, moving swiftly through the dense forest. Myra's training guided her every step. She avoided traps, identified weak points in the enemy's defenses, and observed patrol patterns. Every detail mattered, and Myra's careful attention gave them an advantage. As they approached the base, a group of enemy guards appeared. Myra quickly whispered a plan. "We can create a distraction here. I will lead them away while you move toward the energy source. We must avoid direct confrontation if possible." Zira nodded. "Very well, Myra. Your human intuition will guide the mission." Myra acted quickly. She used a small device from her training, sending a pulse of light and sound into the forest. The guards were drawn away, investigating the strange phenomena. Myra moved silently, leading them further from the base. She felt her heart race but also felt a surge of confidence. Her instincts, creativity, and courage were making a real difference. Once the guards were far enough, Zira moved toward the base. Myra kept watch, using her trained eyes to monitor the surroundings. Suddenly, a small drone appeared, hovering silently. Myra's reflexes kicked in. She activated a device to disable it, and it fell quietly to the ground. Zira glanced at her, a small smile of approval on her face. "Quick thinking, Myra. Your human reflexes saved the mission." Together, they reached the entrance of the rogue faction's facility. It was heavily guarded and protected by energy barriers. Myra studied the barriers, noticing a small weakness in the flow of energy. "We can bypass here," she said, pointing to a faint gap. "It will give us access without triggering alarms." Zira followed her guidance, and they slipped inside undetected. The interior was filled with glowing machinery, strange crystals, and pulsing energy conduits. Myra moved carefully, using her training to navigate the complex layout. Every step required focus and attention to detail. She realized that her human abilities, intuition, observation, and adaptability were just as important as Zira's alien technology. In the heart of the facility, they found the energy source. It was massive, glowing with a blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Myra could feel its power even from a distance. Zira began to analyze the machinery, preparing to disable it. Myra observed carefully, noticing the slightest vibrations and energy fluctuations. If we redirect the flow here, she suggested, pointing to a conduit, it could safely neutralize the source without causing a chain reaction. Zira looked at her, impressed. Excellent, Myra. Humans can see patterns we might overlook. You are proving invaluable. Myra carefully guided Zira through the process. Together, they redirected the energy, stabilizing the source and preventing a potential disaster. The facility trembled slightly, but their plan worked perfectly. Myra felt a surge of relief and pride. Her human intuition and creativity had saved the day. As they prepared to leave, an alarm suddenly sounded. The rogue faction had discovered their presence. Myra and Zira moved quickly, using every skill they had learned to evade detection. They navigated narrow corridors, avoided guards, and used energy devices to create diversions. Myra's heart pounded, but she stayed calm, trusting her instincts and training. Finally, they reached the shuttle. Myra piloted it expertly, avoiding pursuit as they ascended from the planet's surface. Outside, Vera Prime glowed under the light of distant stars. Myra looked down at the planet, knowing that their mission had succeeded. The rogue faction's plans had been stopped, and countless lives had been protected. Back aboard the Aurora, Myra felt exhausted but exhilarated. She had faced danger, used her training, and applied her human abilities to solve problems in ways that even advanced aliens could not. Zira approached her, her eyes glowing faintly. You have done well, Myra. Today you have proven that humans are more than they appear. Your courage, observation, and intuition saved this mission. Myra smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. She had started as a simple maid, expecting routine tasks and ordinary work. Now she had faced danger, navigated an enemy base, and prevented a galactic disaster. She realized that humans could be extraordinary when given the right opportunities and guidance. That night, Myra lay in her cabin, staring at the stars through the window. She thought of the rogue faction, the energy source, and the challenges they had overcome. Her training, instincts, and creativity had made a difference. She understood that being human was not a weakness. It was a strength. Myra closed her eyes, ready for whatever challenges awaited next. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and mysteries, but she now knew that humans could face them with courage, intelligence, and determination. She had risen beyond the role of a simple maid. She was a part of a mission that mattered, and she was ready to continue her journey. The Aurora continued to glide through the stars, carrying Myra and Zira toward the next adventure. Myra's heart was steady, her mind sharp, and her spirit strong. She had learned that humans had unique abilities that could change the course of events across the galaxy. And she was living proof that courage, creativity, and intuition could make a difference in the vast universe. The Aurora sailed through the endless black of space, its lights glowing softly against the backdrop of distant stars. Myra stood at the observation deck, watching the galaxy stretch out before her. Her hands rested on the railing, and her mind replayed the events of the last missions. She had come far from the simple life she had known on Earth. She was no longer just a maid. She had proven that humans could face dangers, solve complex problems, and make a real difference. Queen Zira joined her silently. Her eyes glowed faintly as she looked at Myra. Tomorrow, she said, we face the final test. The rogue faction has fled to another system. Their leader is determined to use a weapon that could destroy entire planets. This mission will challenge everything you have learned. Myra felt a mixture of fear and excitement. She knew the stakes were high, but she also knew that her human instincts, courage, and creativity could guide her. "I understand, Queen Zira," she said. "I will do my best." The shuttle descended into the new system. The planet below was dark and rocky, with jagged cliffs and deep craters. Myra's device glowed softly, offering subtle guidance, but her instincts told her more than any technology could. She noticed patterns in the terrain, slight movements in the shadows, and faint energy signals. These were the clues that the aliens might miss, but Myra saw them clearly. "This is your moment, Myra," Zira said. "Use everything you have learned. Trust your mind, your instincts, and your courage." Myra nodded and led the way across the rocky landscape. The rogue faction's base was hidden in a canyon, shielded by advanced technology. Myra studied the area carefully. She observed the movement of guards, the flow of energy barriers, and small signs in the rocks that indicated hidden traps. "We can approach from here," Myra whispered, pointing to a narrow path along the cliffside. "It will allow us to enter undetected." Zira followed, impressed. "Excellent observation. Your human perspective continues to be invaluable." Inside the base, Myra and Zira found the weapon. It was massive, glowing with dangerous energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. The rogue leader stood before it, a figure of power and intimidation. "You cannot stop me," he said. "This weapon will give me control of the galaxy." Myra stepped forward calmly. "You underestimate humans," she said. "We may seem small, but we think differently. We adapt. We notice what others overlook. And we act when it matters most." The rogue leader laughed, but Myra's eyes were steady. She had learned to focus under pressure, to observe every detail, and to act quickly. Using her instincts, she guided Zira to a critical point in the weapon's structure. "If we redirect the energy through this conduit," she suggested, "it can neutralize the weapon without destroying the planet." Zira nodded and followed Myra's instructions. Together, they worked carefully, their movements precise. Myra's human intuition noticed patterns and weak points that even Zira might have missed. Slowly, they redirected the energy, stabilizing the weapon and preventing a catastrophe. The rogue leader tried to intervene, but Myra anticipated his movements. She used her agility and quick thinking to avoid his attacks, leading him into a controlled trap. The leader was captured without harm, and the weapon's energy was contained safely. Myra felt a surge of relief and pride. Her instincts, observation, and courage had saved lives, stopped a galactic threat, and proven the value of humans. Zero looked at her with admiration. "Myra, you have shown what humans can do. Your creativity, courage, and insight have changed the course of events. You are a true hero of the galaxy." The council members, who had arrived to observe, nodded in approval. "Humans," one of them said, "are often underestimated. But today, this human has demonstrated that courage, intelligence, and creativity can rival the most advanced species. You have proven the value of your kind." Myra smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. She had started her journey as a maid, expecting simple tasks and ordinary work. Now she had faced danger, solved complex problems, and helped protect entire planets. Humans were not weak or insignificant. They could think, act, and adapt in ways that made a real difference. As they returned to the Aurora, Myra reflected on her journey. She had learned that true strength was not only in technology or power, but in the mind and heart. Observation, intuition, creativity, and courage, these qualities defined humanity. And she had proven that even one human could rise to extraordinary challenges. Back aboard the ship, Myra was greeted by the crew and the people she had helped save. Their gratitude filled her heart. She realized that her journey was not only about missions and danger, but also about hope. Humans could inspire, protect, and lead when needed. That evening, Myra sat quietly in her cabin, watching the stars. She thought about Earth, her home, and how small it seemed compared to the galaxy. Yet she understood that humans had a place among the stars. Their unique qualities could influence events on a scale no one had imagined. Myra felt proud to be part of this journey. Queen Zira entered quietly, standing beside her. "Myra," she said softly, "your journey is only beginning. The galaxy is vast, and there will be more challenges. But remember what you have learned, your human perspective, your courage, and your intuition are powerful. You have already proven yourself." Myra nodded. "Thank you, Queen Zira. I will continue to learn and help wherever I can." The Aurora glided silently through the stars, carrying Myra and her companions to new adventures. Myra knew that she had changed forever. She was no longer just a maid. She was a human who had faced the galaxy's dangers, solved problems with intelligence and courage, and shown that humanity could rise to greatness. As she looked out at the endless stars, Myra smiled. She understood now that even the smallest, simplest human could make a difference in a vast universe. The galaxy was full of mysteries, and humans had the ability to meet them. Her journey had proven one thing: courage, creativity, and intelligence could overcome even the greatest threats. Myra closed her eyes, ready for whatever the future held. She had discovered the power of humanity, and she knew that as long as she stayed true to her instincts, used her mind wisely, and acted with courage, she could face any challenge the galaxy might present. The Aurora continued its journey, carrying a human who had risen to greatness, proving that even in the vast, infinite galaxy, humans had a role, a purpose, and the power to shine. Myra's story was a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the extraordinary potential that lay within every ordinary human being.